I think, ma'am, which was in the jail of Hitler.
Who?
Ma'am, that girl.
Not jail.
What I have heard is like they used to take you.
You are talking about.
Yes,
What are you talking about?
ma'am. On when in the period of World War, ma'am, like Adolf Hitler made jails for special people of
What
a
I heard
caste.
is like he made the camps in which he used to
Those were
like
known as
take few.
He had made several ways of torturing people. He had different ways of torturing.
Ma'am,
He was those kind
mainly,
of psychos. Haven't you seen in movies where they show psychos who like to torture people and they get fun in that? Maybe he was that
Ma'am,
kind of a maniac or something like that, right? That he was
he was
having
Voldemort. He was Harry Potter's Voldemort.
high
He likes to
Voldemort.
torture
Yes.
people.
Yes, exactly. We can say something like that. So he had made several ways of making people suffer. He made some concentration camps. You know what were the concentration camps like? They were like washrooms, like the bathrooms which we have, and they had a shower in them. He used to take people there, and in those camps, in those bathroom-like areas, from those showers, instead of water, do you know what used to come? Poisonous gas. Poisonous gas was leaked into those chambers, and those people died like anything they have died. That is why, as soon as he got to know that now I'm going to be captured, he committed suicide because he was aware of his crimes. He knew that he is going to be very brutally taken up, right? Because the crimes he has done were not just criminal offenses, they were also crimes against humanity, right? You will read, there's a chapter devoted to this in class 10. Nazis and the rise of Hitler. You'll read it all in detail in that. Okay. Shall we come back to the Sixth Kingdom for now?
Yes,
yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. Yes. So we were talking about onslaught, I was telling you, right? The meaning of onslaught. Onslaught means, children, onslaught means having a very fierce war, a very fierce attack, a very destructive attack, right? So these people, these Persians and Afghans were attacking Delhi, right? So the Sikhs again took advantage of these attacks. They were like the Mughals were already occupied in that. So that's why they expanded, they kept on expanding their territorial control. They kept on expanding and acquiring the small areas in the northwestern region. Jayadepal, what do you want? Tell me that. Shall I end this meeting right here? Shall I wrap it up? And you can talk as much as you want to. And happy Basant Panchami to every one of you.
Same to you, ma'am.
Ma'am, same to you, ma'am.
You know what? The children of class 4 were so cutely dressed up in yellow clothes, having yellow box, yellow things. Very nice they were. Okay. So yeah. Now we read the 6 were persecuted viciously. Like this is something very evil which these people did. They persecuted the Sikh leaders and that too very badly, and this in turn just infuriated the Sikh against the Mughals. They were like, now it's done. Like in response, Guru Gobind Singh, the 10th and the last Sikh Guru, transformed the Sikhs into a warrior community, which he named as Khalsa, right? Because he was like,
We read about it.
of cruelty. We cannot just accept everything. Now we will fight back. India will fight back. The Sikh fought back. Okay. So that is what they said that no, and that's why Guru Gobind Singh, who was the last and the 10th Guru of Sikhs, he established Khalsa or the Brotherhood of Sikhs, right? Khalsa, like many people are also working with this name. There's a Khalsa Aid, if you would have heard of. I think I mentioned about this in the previous chapter as well. Right? So Khalsa gives the community a deep sense of unity founded on symbolic acts. कभी कुछ symbolic करते हो आप. then right, when you get unity, you feel united. For example, whenever we heard of the Jallianwala massacre, right, we all feel very, very, very different anger in ourselves. And how could the Britishers do that? And again, I
Yes.
tell you, I think I told you to watch Sardar Udham Singh. Did you watch it?
Yes, ma'am, I have watched.
Half movie.
Yes, Ralph Singh.
The first
Not
half was boring. No, the last half, second half is nice. They have shown how people have been killed. I was sitting like this, my hands,
But I know the story.
my hands coupled in my mouth, and I was like, what have they done? They killed people, pregnant ladies, young children, older people. All of them were slaughtered, literally slaughtered like anything.
I actually don't like when
which
someone
movie?
kills some others. But in that, when Sardar Udham Singh killed the person, I was like, go ahead, kill more people.
No, you know what? At first instance, I was like, he should not have done this. Why did you kill it? But when I saw the Jallianwala incident in front of my eyes, seeing it, it was, I literally had goosebumps and tears in my eyes. Like it was that bad, right? And people,
Yes, ma'am.
they were taking people, carrying people like cattle. The bodies were scattered there in the Jallianwala Bagh like anything. And those people were not even at fault. They were just sitting quietly and discussing things. Even for this small crime, they have been killed. So that is why you should be fortunate enough that we right now are living in a democratic country and not under anybody else's rule. Right?
And ma'am, you don't know about Jallianwala Bagh.
What, beta?
Ma'am, Jallianwala Bagh.
What Jallianwala Bagh?
Ma'am, over there also a secret meeting was going to held between, I think, Mahatma Gandhi and all, and ma'am, Britishers came and killed all the people over there.
No secret. That Abhi, I was telling you.
Ma'am, it was because all the meetings were banned by the Britishers that there
Because
will be
they
no
killed,
meetings.
because they said that we have banned any public processions. You all cannot gather like that. How can you? How could you do that? And on these grounds only, they opened fire on everyone, which was wrong. And it is believed that, I think, even I am of very firm belief that the British government should should be saying sorry to us, which they have not said. You know that British government have never accepted that as their fault, even till date.
Shouldn't we be stealing their Kohinoor Hira?
We cannot do that. No, Mahatma Gandhi said we should not slap other person if the person has slapped us. Right? We should be non-violent. Right. So after his death in 1708, the Khalsa rose in revolt against Mughal authority under Band Bahadur's leadership. After whose death in 1708, children?
Ma'am, Guru Gobind Singh.
Yes, Guru Gobind Singh, right? He died in 1708 and the Khalsa revolted. Like, this is done. Now we cannot bear it anymore. And the Sikhs declared their sovereign rule by striking coins in the name of Guru Nanak, and Guru Gobind Singh established their own administration between Satluj and Yamuna, right? So after this incident, they were like, now it's done. We cannot tolerate more. Okay. So what is the meaning of sovereign rule, bache?
Ma'am, freedom.
Independent rule again, where we ourselves are governing ourselves and no foreign forces are governing us. That's why this term is also used in our constitution, that India is a sovereign country, right? And they strike coins in the name of Guru Nanak. What's the meaning of striking coins?
Ma'am, to say in the name of.
They just
I like to strike in the name of.
not strike, they made the coins in the name of Guru Gobind Singh. Like earlier, the Mughals, right? You might have seen no emperor's face at the back of the coin used to be
Yes,
made.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? So instead of the Mughals, they started minted coins in the name of Guru Nanak Ji and Guru Gobind Singh, right? And they established their own administration. Band Bahadur was captured and sentenced to death at Delhi in 1716. Who would have done that? Who would have captured and sentenced him to death?
मैम बंदा बहादुर
को किसने कैप्चर किया बेटा? The question is who captured?
Um,
मैम
The
मैम
Mughals, not the British. Mughals. 17 की बात है ना? अभी तक तो मुगल
मैम
था.
विच रूलर
We have
मैम जहांद्र शाह
हाँ जी.
मैम
और
डेट
these
जहांद्र
people,
शाह
the
डेट
Mughals. Okay, the Mughals did that. By the early 1800s, the Sikhs managed to carve out an independent kingdom, but by the time of the decline of Mughal Empire, the Sikhs managed to just organize themselves properly and carve out an independent kingdom in the Mughal Empire, right? वहां से अपना एक अलग independent kingdom निकाला मुगल empire से ही, and they remained independent until the British annexations in 1850. Okay, till the time British annexed
Okay, ma'am.
it, the kingdom remained independent for around 50 years. It's clear? The six are clear?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Now we have to talk about the Marathas. Again, children, can you tell me any movie reference to Marathas? Marathas?
Tanhaji.
Yes,
Tanhaji.
Tanhaji, Bajirao Mastani, right? They have shown us the Maratha
Yes, ma'am.
culture very clearly, very nicely, right? How the Marathas were. How Marathas were referred as a very, warrior class. They were efficient warriors, right? Okay. So the
Yes, ma'am.
Marathas,
Yes.
like the Sikhs and the Jats in the north, emerged in the Deccan as an important force under Shivaji. Have you heard this name before?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, one more movie was there, Panipat: The Great Betrayal.
Which one, beta? I haven't seen that.
Ma'am, Panipat.
Nice.
Ma'am, Panipat: The Great Betrayal.
These
Yes,
movies are
ma'am.
very, very good to watch. They give us a lot of information about history. Yes.
Ma'am, Panipat was about Ahmad Shah Abdali.
Ahmed Shah Abdali, we will read about that. Okay. Yes. So, Arshia, read. Who was Shivaji? Can you tell me who was he?
Ma'am, leader of Marathas.
Leader of the
And
founder.
Chhatrapati Shivaji.
Like these
And Chhatrapati
Marathas treat Shivaji as their god. You know that this is the stages of Shivaji in their lives. They treat him as their god. Like he's the most
And
respected. Yes.
and ma'am, one more ruler was there, ma'am, Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj. I'm the son of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj.
Yes.
Ma'am, he was also great.
And his name was Shivaji only. This Chhatrapati title was given to him. Like he himself gave it to himself. He gave it to himself, right? So Shivaji was the founder, we can say, of the Maratha kingdom. So just like the Sikhs and the Jats, the Marathas also become a kingly power, which though subdued by the Aurangzeb tried to subdue them again and again, again and again. Subdue means किसी को बार-बार दबाना. If somebody is rising to power, let them go back. Don't let them be. Don't let them emerge. Right? Aurangzeb tried his best to do that, but he could never completely crush them. He subdued them. काफी बार उनकी uprisings को दबाया, but he could never completely crush them. This he never did. Right? He never could. He never could. He tried his best, but he never could. Shivaji was successful because of his ability to mobilize the peasants in his army. I told you the meaning of peasants. Do you remember that?
Yes, ma'am.
What is the meaning of peasants, children?
Poor farmers.
Peasants means poor farmers, landless farmers, agricultural laborers, right? So what did he do? He knew that they do not have many warriors in their kingdom, so he mobilized the peasants in his army as well. He made them also fight for their country, for their people, right? So he freed the peasants from the exploitation by Jagirdars and Zamindars and established direct contact with them. He was like, now I will not let you be exploited by these people. You remember, no, who were Jagir Das and Zameen Das? You know that?
Yes, ma'am.
Prakash? Prakash?
Yes, ma'am.
Pranavi, who were Jagir Das? Do you people know?
Ma'am, Jagidars were the, ma'am, we can say, who take care of Jagirs, the land given to them.
Given to them
Yes,
by
ma'am.
Beta,
And Mughals.
Mughals, and they also used to collect taxes from it. And as we know that the
Yes,
number of
ma'am.
Jagirs were more than the number of Jagirs were less than the number of
And
Jagirs,
ma'am,
right?
and ma'am, in Aurangzeb rule, their Jagirs also increased and revenue.
No, the Jagir, right now what happened after him, that the Jagirdars were more and Jagirs were less. So what did the
Yes,
Jagirdars
ma'am.
started doing? They started exploiting the farmers. They started taking more and more revenue from them, right? And to collect that, they used to torture them. So Shivaji was like, I'll protect you. I will be your protector, your savior, right? So Shivaji not only curbed the power of the bigger landlords, but see how politically efficient thinker he was. He also married one of the Deshmukh, like he established matrimonial relations with the families. He married the daughter of the Deshmukhs, right? Okay. Now, what benefit he would have got after marrying their daughter?
And can you please explain this line again?
I am saying they are saying that Shivaji did not only curb the power of the bigger landlords, ना ही सिर्फ उनकी power को कम किया. Along with that, he claimed to be one of them. He said, "I am your part only," and he did that by establishing matrimonial relations, by marrying a daughter of them. What benefit he got with this?
So, ma'am, they all
So
they
he
will
became
also
powerful.
support. They will
Ma'am, to
build
build a
a
good
relationship
relationship
between them
Ma'am,
with them.
he
with
built
them.
a good relationship with the bigger landlords by this.
I am a part of, so that he can be a part of the decision making. He can know what these people are planning. He can influence the decisions, and he can let them take decisions in the favor of the peasants. Right? Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
So after his
Yes.
coronation in 1674, placed him above all the Marathas and made him equal to other rulers of the Deccan. The meaning of coronation is? What's the meaning of coronation, children?
What?
Coronation.
And after the passing away of Shivaji, when now he was no longer a
That's
rule.
coronation.
Promotion?
ताजपोशी कहते हैं हम हिंदी में ताजपोशी. When they provide them the crown and
Ma'am, that is,
official.
Yes, ma'am.
we can say promotion only.
Not promotion, we cannot say that. It's known as coronation.
Like a ceremony of
King
giving them.
ceremony.
Ring ceremony ही होती है, king ceremony one.
King ceremony.
Okay. Yeah, right. So his coronation,
Crown ceremony.
right. So his coronation placed him above all the Marathas, right? And he became equal to the other rulers of the Deccan, right? Like those of the Sikhs and the other ones, right? Then 1674, Shivaji made Raigad his capital and celebrated his coronation, right? So which was the capital of the Maratha kingdom? What was the capital?
Raigad.
Right? He assumed the title of Chhatrapati, right? He gave himself the title of Chhatrapati. Shortly after this, he made a great expedition into the southern India and conquered Jingi, Vellore, and many forts in Karnataka. What's the meaning of expedition?
Ma'am, searching.
And visit.
He not only visited
Visit.
and conquered those regions. He went there and won them over, right? So all these parts came under his kingdom only. He died at Raigad in 1680 after ruling only for 6 years. very short span of time which he ruled for, only 6 years. Okay, in this short time, he founded the Maratha kingdom, which dominated the Western India for a century and a half, for around 50 years, right? The Maratha kingdom ruled and dominated the Western India, right? Clear till here? Any doubts, children?
No, ma'am, no doubt.
What is the
Ma'am,
meaning
I
of
think Ma'am Aurangzeb killed Ma'am Shivaji.
Chhatrapati means greater than all, superior. Hanji, somebody
Okay, ma'am.
something?
Ma'am Aurangzeb killed Shivaji.
No, not Aurangzeb killed Shivaji. He fought in a rebellion or something like that. He died like that. Right? So the Maratha polity. What's the meaning of polity, children?
Ma'am, politics.
Politics, right? So Maratha politics was
Yes, ma'am.
autocratic monarchy, right? It was proper monarchy. Autocratic monarchy means all the powers were at this upper level only with the senior people, the king and its nobles, right? To the king, there was a council of ministers known as Ashtpradhan, right? The king had a council of minister, which was known as Ashtpradhan. Can you see it, children? Like right now, also we have a council of
Yes,
minister,
ma'am.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? History influencing our present. Now, Shivaji divided the territory directly into three provinces, right? Each used to be ruled by a viceroy. He further divided the areas into prans, each of which was subdivided into parganas and taras. And the lowest was the village, and each village was headed by a headman or patil. You have heard the term patil sahib in movies a lot. In Bajra Mastani also you have heard the term patil sahib, like he was the headman. Right? This is sarpanch hote hain, you can say like that. Okay? Head of the village. Now the assessment of revenue. As you all know, what is revenue, children?
And tax.
Tax. They were taking tax, they were receiving tax, and they have to assess whether this tax is being received in the proper manner or not. So a careful survey and classification of it was done according to their quality and yield. How much quality is of the crops, how much yield they have had, what is the quality, is it good and no or not. Accordingly, they used to take the revenue from the people, and the share of the state was fixed at 2/5 of the gross produce. Whatever they have produced, 2/5 of it they have to pay to the state. State here refers to whom, children?
Empire.
And the king, the ruler,
And
or
the
the king.
king.
The ruler, right? State here refers to the ruler. They had to provide it to the ruler, right? Now they had the option of either they could pay in kind or in cash. Cash to how could they pay in kind, children?
Ma'am, by selling something, goods or
By instead of giving
uh,
cash, they can give the crop which they have grown.
And produce.
Working
And
it
the
there.
things that are produced by them.
Yeah, by giving the produce to them, or by working in their, what do we call that, courts or whatever it is, right? So the cultivator was having the option of paying either in cash or kind. Besides the land revenue, Shivaji had other sources of income as well, which the important were the Chaut and Sardeshmukhi. Children, again very important question will come from this. What is Chaut and Sardeshmukhi? Yes, Vaibhav, read
yes,
it
ma'am,
out.
I am having this doubt only. Ma'am, what is Sardeshmukhi and this? Ma'am, in the modern history, it is also there.
Read it out. Read the Chaut.
Ma'am, I have to read.
Yes, you have to read. There are
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, from here the assessment of revenue was made.
the Chaut amounted.
Oh, okay, ma'am. Ma'am, ma'am, can I read from the assessment?
No.
Okay, ma'am, fine.
The Chaut amounted to 1/4 of the standard revenue assessment.
Ma'am, I found it. Ma'am, found it. Ma'am, the chauth amounted to 1/4 of the standard revenue assessment of the place. The Sardeshmukhi was an additional levy of 10% demanded from areas outside uh, his kingdom because he claimed to be the what is
Hereditary,
written
hereditary.
hereditary Sadeshmukhi chief headman of the entire Maratha country. These taxes were levied as a kind of protection money against Shivaji's forces plundering or raiding their territory.
Okay, so he had two taxes. One was chauth. Chauth was very simple tax, which was like 1/4 of the standard revenue assessment of the. What is written after the children? Can you please tell me?
Ma'am, Sardeshmukhi.
No, assessment of the
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
assessment of
assessment of
the
the place.
place.
of the
Ma'am,
place.
of the
place.
place.
So he will
of the
assess the
place.
place, and then the people were supposed to give 1/4 of it. जो भी revenue आता होगा उस जगह का उसके revenue का उन्हें 1/4 देना होता था, right? Then the Sardesh Mukhi was an additional tax of 10%, which he used to take from those areas which were outside his kingdom. अपने kingdom के बाहर के area से भी लेता था. The Maratha, like all the outside the areas which are at the outskirts of the Maratha kingdom, claiming that I am the superior leader and the hereditary leader of all the Marathas. Not only the one who are
Ma'am,
living in my kingdom, but all the Marathas, whether you are living in my kingdom or not. I am the head of all the Marathas and I am providing you protection from plundering and raiding. So you are supposed to pay this tax to me. So these are the two more taxes which he used to collect. Clear?
ma'am, can you please explain it again?
See, Sardesh Mukhi was a tax which he used to collect from the people who were outside his territory, claiming that I am the Sardesh Mukh, I am the chief headman of all the Marathas, right? Whether you're living in the Maratha kingdom or not. But I am your head. For example, suppose if I'll say that I am the head of all the Hindus, no matter wherever they're living, all the Hindus are supposed to pay a tax of 1/10 of their income to me. Got it?
Okay, ma'am.
Right. So, some important officials in the Maratha system, Peshwa, the head of both civic and military affairs, just like we have the Prime Minister, right? Then the Mazumdar, who looked into the income expenditure of the state, right? You can see the finance minister, right? Then Senapati, who was a commander in chief, right? Nyayadhish refers to the judge because he was the chief justice. Clear? Any
Okay,
doubts
ma'am.
here?
No, ma'am.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
Pranati, Aviral, Arav,
Yes, ma'am, it's clear. Yes, ma'am.
Karthik, Neha, Rishabh.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine.
Yes, ma'am.
Cool. Now we'll talk about Marathas under Peshwa. Who were Peshwas? You know that?
Ma'am, Peshwa was like a chief minister.
But after the death of Shivaji, Peshwas were the ones who started to be the rulers, right? Like Peshwa Baji Rao. Have you seen?
Peshwa, ma'am, look after the army.
After the death of Shivaji, like after Shivaji's death, the effective of the Maratha kingdom, the effective, what is written with the effective?
Control.
The effective control of the Maratha kingdom fell into the hands of the Peshwas who served Shivaji's successor. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So जो उनके successors थे, right? उनके वही उनके पेशवा ही उनके successors बन गए. Their seat of power was located at Pune. You'll read the first line from me, Arsha.
Under the
Ma'am, may I read?
Peshwas, they developed a successful military organization.
Okay, so under these Peshwas developed a very good military organization because at that point of time, this was the most. Right now, also we need to have a good military. No, otherwise something to us will happen, just like it has happened in Afghanistan. Right? Do you know why Afghanistan is under the control of Taliban today?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
Ma'am, because of small military power.
Because they did not have a good military power.
Good military power.
Ma'am, a
Right?
good administration.
Neither good administration. So that's what they did. They started doing first. First, they established a good military organization, and the Marathas fought against the Mughals and expanded their territories between 1720 and 61. Well, they ruled nicely. They expanded their area, increased their territory. And Malwa and Gujarat was seized by the Mughals during 1720s. But after the 1737 raid on Delhi, the Marathas expanded their territories further towards the north in Punjab and in Rajasthan. So they started moving in that direction as well and starting occupying areas from there too. Now, Rajasthan into Bengal and Odisha in the east and the Karnataka and the Tamil Nadu in the south. Like in all directions, they were expanding their territory. They were expanding the Maratha kingdom. Right. Now, the Marathas, however, only collected tributes from these areas but did not include them in the Maratha Empire. Right? That's what he used to do. He used to take the tax of Sardesh Mukhi from these people, but he never included them in the area. The Marathas never included these areas in the Maratha Empire. They just kept on taking the tributes. The meaning of tributes is taking tax as gift. Okay. Tax he later they won't say. They used to charge money from them only, but they gave them the name of tribute as they're giving a tribute, a gift to us. Right? That we are letting them rule their kingdom. Okay. So the Marathas, however, only collected tributes. Okay. Now, and did not from these areas and did not include them in the Maratha Empire. Under the Peshwas, like the Peshwas were somewhere the reason of the downfall of Maratha Empire as well, right? Under the Peshwas, we'll read what happened. So, under the Peshwas, the Maratha Empire was converted into a loose confederacy governed by an independent Maratha chiefs. Loose confederacy means it did not remain a kingdom. It was fragmented into different parts, and different Maratha chiefs were ruling their own kingdoms. Right. Now, this was the primary cause of the Maratha downfall. Somewhere the unity of Marathas broke. Understood? Got it?
Yes,
The unity broke.
Yes,
And the third battle of Panipat, that in 1761, they won or they lost? Tell me.
Ma'am, they lost.
They
Ma'am, I'm a
lost.
child.
Right. This not only resulted in the defeat of the Maratha army but also spelled the doom of the Maratha cause. साफ साफ दिखा वहां पे कि भाई क्यों मराठास जा रहे हैं. There were two developments after the third battle of Panipat which had far-reaching consequences Maratha faced. उसके बाद कुछ अच्छा नहीं हुआ था. जो developments हुई थी उसकी वजह से मराठा का, you can say they just got fragmented more later after that. The Marathas are defeated in the battle.
After Shivaji.
Shivaji had been died. Shivaji died just after the 6 years.
After Shivaji, na?
Obviously. Right? So, the Marathas were defeated in the battle and it ended the possibility of establishing an all India empire. After losing this battle, it became crystal clear that now Marathas cannot establish an all India empire. It led to the establishment of the Maratha succession states, right? In Gujarat, the Gaikwad family founded one with its capital Baroda, right? Likewise, the Bhosles also settled themselves in Nagpur with their dominions in stretching up to Odisha. So that's how the idea of extension.
Like the later Mughals were also not so good.
Exactly, very good, Hassan. That's what I said in the previous classes as well. Just they also face the same fate as that of the later Mughals, right?
Ma'am, I think the later Mughals did anything. The Mughal Empire only continued because the previous good rulers maintained it so much good that it automated.
That is the only reason. That is the only reason these people are not even mentioned anywhere. Their names are also not even mentioned of the later Mughals, right? We read about from Aurangzeb only because he was the only one who was powerful, who had made an impact, right? Okay. So children, is it clear till here?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Quite long.
I want to ask something.
We are gonna take one more day. I think in one more day we will be able to finish it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, beta.
Ma'am, I want to ask that, ma'am, the first Peshwa was Balaji Vishwanath, second was Baji Rao, and third was Balaji Vajirao.
Faces son.
Ma'am, this was the sequence.
Yes. What's
Okay,
up?
ma'am.
Okay. You saw how the bad fate, like you know that this Peshwa Bajirao he just lost his mind after a time. He became mentally sick. Have you seen that? They have shown it very beautifully that by the end he was when he was
Yes, ma'am.
fighting, right? He was not having any consciousness. He was just fighting and fighting and fighting. He just lost his mind in love. He got blinded by the love of the lady, right? So I hope you
Yes,
have
ma'am.
understood the chapter. Nice chapter it is. We get to know much. And like, you know, when we get to know about history, we also get interested in it. It feels good to know about it. Okay, these things are happening there. Oh, nice. And
And
then
ma'am, the main excitement comes when we just can relate it with our present.
again, I told you this is a very first class that you will find interest only in
Yes,
how
ma'am,
it
that's what I'm
relates.
only saying. Like, this is a chapter in which we can relate a lot. So that's just generating more of the excitement.
Exactly, and it is exciting as well. We got to know, okay, these were the areas. That's how the areas which we are seeing now. Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan.
After final exams, I will do a research on the things that are now present and that were in the medieval period also.
That's wonderful. Show me just show me the results of your research. Okay,
I'm doing little bit every day.
that's great. That's great. Now we have the emergence of new states which came up like Bengal, Awadh, right? Do you read that Bengal broke away from the Mughal control under Murshid Quli Khan, right? So these names are important only for us as we know that, right? So he transferred the capital from Dhaka to Murshidabad, right? Okay, and he
Yes,
gradually
ma'am.
assumed the autonomy through continuing to pay tribute to the Mughal emperor. He was having the overlordship of the Mughal. He was paying tribute to him, but slowly he just assumed his autonomy. He just assumed himself as independent, and he carried out various reforms. He brought some changes, right? And those changes were, the first one was reorganization of finances, right? He transferred the large parts of Jagir lands into Khalisa, that means the crown lands, and introduced a system of revenue farming. Okay, yes, Hassan.
Ma'am, in total, how many wars were there of Panipat?
There were three wars of Panipat, three battles of Panipat.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah. So next, he reorganized
Okay,
the
ma'am.
administration by giving equal opportunities to the employment of opportunities of employment to Hindus and Muslims. He made sure that अपना administration reorganized किया. He wanted that both Hindus and Muslims should get equal opportunities of employment. Which, if you remember, we have read that Aurangzeb stopped this. Right? Akbar was very good. Akbar used to do this, but later on, Aurangzeb was very partial.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, he was a secular person.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, Hassan.
Like all the rulers who practiced equality between every religion, ma'am, they did it by their will, or some rulers
By
believe
their
that
will.
if they want to rule, so they have to do this.
See, this is their internal feelings. This they have not expressed, right? Whether they're showcasing, but mostly the rulers have done it by themselves only because they wanted to do it, right? Some of them have played conspiracies as well, like Maratha. Like if we talk about Shivaji, why did Shivaji marry a girl of Deshmukh? Because he wanted to be a part of them, right? Maybe that's the reason.